You're listening to Doug Pagitt Radio. I'm Heather Lynn from Minneapolis. You are listening to Doug Pagitt Radio. For more Doug Pagitt Radio fun, visit dougpagitt.com.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Doug Pagitt Radio, broadcasting live out of the Twin Cities, around the world, and maybe even on the space station. And today, broadcasting all by myself. My sidekick in the show, Victoria Lynn, has the week off, as well as next week. And by the way, that reminds me, we're going to do a little different programming here over the summer. Over the summer, the radio program will still continue to provide its top quality religious radio that's not quite right, that you've come to know and love, or at least we hope. But we're going to be broadcasting in maybe a bit of a different rhythm, sometimes on Thursdays at a normal time. Sometimes you will get special radio updates. If you subscribe to the podcast, that's the best way to keep up over the summer, or the videos as well. But there's going to be a number of times where there's going to be some audio posted that won't have a video component to it. So head over to dougpagiradio.com and sign up for the podcast under the archive section, and then they'll be delivered to that little device of yours. If you just listen regularly on the audio on your browser, which I know a lot of people do, because you get a little Facebook status update, and it says, hey, you should listen to me live now on Spreaker, which, by the way, that's Spreaker's automated language, not mine. I wouldn't be so bossy. I might say, hey, broadcasting live right now. If you don't have something better to do, you should come over and listen. But Spreaker just tells you what to do. Come listen to me now. They're actually Italian. I don't know why I use that sort of Austrian accent with that. For some reason I get bossy and I turn Austrian. I don't know what that's all about. Must be a little history rolling around in my head. But anyway, we're going to be broadcasting the show in a variety of means. Not so much in the regular hour and a half long format, but in some different pieces and collections. So a lot going on today. The show is going to be truncated, a little shortened, but a great conversation with Bianca Bruce. And Bianca is a friend of mine. I'll say more about her in a moment. But she is doing some work with women who are doing just some spectacular things. They're all women that need help getting along from the county in California. And they've pooled their resources together to live the kind of life that they want to live. This kind of collective activity. These women who are in difficult situations on their own, cared for by the goodness of the people of California, then decide to join together to make life even better. So we're going to hear from some of them. We're going to have a little interview with them, and Bianca's good enough to allow us to do that. So that's going to be super fun to hear from Bianca. And we are 2 days. I am 2 days out from my race of 24 hours that I'm going to be doing this Saturday. So this Saturday I'm going to run a 24-hour race. A lot of people, I guess, rightly assume that this kind of a 24-hour race would be something akin to, like those competitions where you try to win a truck by holding your hand on the truck longest, and the person who collapses, last wins the truck. It's actually nothing like that at all. People often ask, if you're doing a 24-hour race, do they let you walk? Do they let you sit down? Actually, it's nothing like that at all. You're free to do whatever you like. You could lay down for 23 hours and run for an hour, and have your 6 miles that you covered in 24 hours. You get to set your own pace for determining how far can you go in that amount of time. A different way. I mean, most of us are used to races being a set distance, and then you see how fast you can go in that distance. And that tends to breed a certain kind of outcome, a certain kind of thinker, a certain kind of training, racing faster. The 24-hour races, any of these timed races, actually a 12-hour version of this race happening in the first half. Some people will do it for 12 hours. This is designed where you pick your own pace and you determine how far you go in that amount of time. Isn't that funny? I mean, there's interesting things, right, about how when you change the equation a bit, not a set distance that you have to rush through, but a set amount of time that you can determine how far you want to go. I would like to go 100 miles. I don't know if that's going to be possible. I've never gone 100 miles. And there's something about that number that is rather intimidating. You know what I'm saying? There's something about it that just pushes the old buttons. It's a capricious number, right? Because we measure in miles, which is a certain number of feet, 6,000 feet, 6,000 something feet, and but that's a capricious number. It's just a selection. There's nothing about 100 miles that is actually, a special distance that you're going to travel, but it's the picked distance. It's the selected distance. It's the agreed upon distance of having a certain kind of meaning. So it becomes really important, right? So anyway, I've picked this arbitrary number of 100 along with a lot of other people who picked an arbitrary number of 100, and we're going to try to go 100 miles, which in the race I'm doing is a 2.171 mile loop that runs around a lake and through the woods and over the hills. And there's no grandma's house. But we run around this same track that's 2.17 mile around 46 times, and then plus a little distance there at the end. That will get you to 100 miles. So I don't know. I felt very prepared for a race I did a month and a half ago, a 50-mile race. Felt spot on. Knew I could do it. Had a little worry, had a little apprehension, had a little anxiety in my bloodstream about that. But more excitement than anything. This one's the other way around. A little bit more worry and a little less excitement. Partly because these 24-hour races, they don't have the lore and the glory of a point-to-point race. You don't get to come over new ridges, see new things, meet up with new people, feel like you've traveled a distance and you're away. There's something about the human psyche. It feels like you've traveled further from the place you started and closer to the place you're ending. In a 24-hour race, I'm expecting, you just go until the time tells you to stop. There, you have to orient yourself differently around all this. So I'm going to shoot little videos while it's happening on Saturday, 8 a.m. Saturday to 8 a.m. Sunday morning, and I'm sure I'll be posting those up. So maybe I'll have some reflections about such things when they come. So, but I think there's something about this, right? People will ask, like, why? Why does somebody do this? Why does somebody run this race? Well, it's a great question, and I've decided that my answer will be given to people who run the race with me, either part or all. Like, it's just not the kind of thing that's smart, wise, or even meaningful to try to describe to people why you're doing it when you're not doing it. I mean, I can reflect generally. I can reflect generally on it, right? Anybody can. I can say, well, it's this or that. It's a kind of way to clear your head, or it's a kind of way to overcome obstacles. It's a kind of way to beat the old stories that are in your head that are telling you can't do something in your body that you really can do. I mean, I can tell you all those things, but it makes a lot more sense while you're doing it. So it's the kind of activity that feels experience-based much more than description based. So anyway, and much of life is that way. It seems to me, right? There's the kinds of parts of life, and there's maybe life itself, which is best described while you're doing it, best commented on while it's happening, and not planned for, executed, and then reflected upon. I think there's something to that. Yeah. In fact, people often ask, well, I had this question last night. What's your plan? What's your plan for this? Are you gonna keep doing this? Are you gonna do more? I mean, it's something else. The ability that we have as people, and I'm certainly in this category, to want to know how does this fit into the whole, and what's next. I mean, I haven't even done 100 miles yet, and people are already asking me like, hey, what are you gonna do after that? Yeah. So He's got that going. Well, I'm going to give a jingle over to Bianca, and we're going to hear this great stories about the good work that Bianca's doing. So if you're watching on the Ustream video, you're going to roll to the next one. If you're watching on the YouTube video, I'm telling you, you're going to want to hear from Bianca. So roll yourself over and get caught up. Those of you who are listening